Hi everybody, it's Seth, your Mild Mannered Mage, and I'm here to do some crime with the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This is Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast foray into the Western genre via Magic, and and you know, as soon as I heard this set was being released, it reminded me of the Big Bang Theory episode with their card games. I think it was the Wizards of Ka'a, where they had the Western theme, and I was half expecting this to come with a wand with a Marshall star on it, but you know, so. In this set, we're looking at all sorts of outlaws. So we've got assassins and mercenaries and rogues trying to commit some crimes against their opponents. And we've got some fantastic reprints in this set. Oko is making a comeback, so we've got some new Oko cards, plus his OG Thrones of Eldraine version is making a comeback. Plus, we've got some awesome artwork looking at the Wanted poster art, plus the Vault art. Just so all sorts of great things are going to be in this set. So what are we looking to get out of this collector's booster box? Well, we're hoping to hit an Oko. Looking for any of the textured foils and any of the special foil printings, some of the raised foils. And as always, I am joined by my associate, the Planeskitty Coraline, who will be wandering in and out of this box opening. So she'll be providing some, much needed assistance that only she can provide. So let's get into this box here and see what sort of goodies we can get into. Alright, so looking at the box here, we do have our man Oko here in a standoff with somebody, ready to have a shootout. Searching for the best in the West, lasso up the ultimate bounty in collector boosters, providing any cowpoke with a full posse of shiny prizes. Each booster boasts rares and or mythics, traditional foils, full art western lands, and borderless breaking news cards. You could even nab a breaking news card in slick textured foil or score big with a raised foil vault card. All right. And it looks like the Planeskitty does approve of this box, so we'll get her to give it a little rub, and hopefully that'll put some kitty magic on this box, and we'll get something good out of it. I do like how it's kind of funny the way that this box is designed to look like the back pocket of like a pair of pants, kind of like a Western dungaree. So I think that is that's kind of funny. So, all right, so let's get in here, and we do have our 2 stacks here coming fresh out of here. So that's all the packs. We'll set the box over here, and as per usual, we have 2 stacks of 6 cards. So those will be what we'll be working with today. So Coraline has blessed this this stack right here, so we'll set it to the side, and hopefully that's where all the good stuff will be. After the break, we will start opening this pack right here, and in the meantime, here's the first of what will helps if I hold it right side up. Here is a little arena code just to wet your whistle. All right, cowboys, let's saddle up, and when we get back, we'll start breaking into these. All right, and we are back, starting with our first stack of 6 Outlaws of Thunder Junction collector booster packs. So we'll get these spread out right here, and we are under the careful eye of the Planeskitty Coraline. She has put her special kitty magic on this stack of cards right here, so we're going to save those for last. And let's get into our first pack. We're also trying out, these are going to be hard to get into, trying out a brand new camera setup. Let me know what y'all think of this, if you like this a little bit better than the way that I've been filming in the past. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. All right, so first up, we have a treasure card, a treasure token. Okay, that does give some good Western vibes with that sledgehammer ready to break open that box. Into our first rare card, Insatiable Avarice. Spree. So you pay a black, and then you pay the additional costs to do the extra things. So black plus 2, and you can search your library for a card, then shuffle and put that card on top, and then pay an additional 2 black. Target player draws 3 cards and loses 3 life. So for a total of 5 mana, 3 black and 2, you can do all 5 of these things. So that's kind of an interesting, so you can kind of choose what you want to do. I kind of like that. That's very cool. And then we're starting off with our first prosperity. Is this a vault, I believe? We've got Void Slime, 2 blue and green, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Mana abilities cannot be targeted. So nice counter spell right off the bat. This is going to make, you know, pre-release is going to be wild with all these cards and all these reprints. Vihan the Gold Waker, red, white, and black. This is one of the commander cards. Other outlaws you control have the haste and the vigilantes. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have treasures you control become 3/3 construct assassin artifact creatures in addition to their other types until end of turn. So let's make a lot of treasure with him, turn them into constructs, and then turn them sideways. I kind of like that, and I could see a lot of cool commander decks coming out of that. Oh, and he is a mythic, isn't he? Yep, he is a mythic card. So we'll set him off to the side. Stoic Sphinx, 2 blue and 2, flash and flying. Has hexproof as long as you haven't cast a spell this turn. For a flying 5/3. And then we've got Bonnie Paul, the Clear Cutter. 6/5 for a Reacher. 2 blue, green, and 3. When Bonnie Paul, the Clear Cutter, enters the battlefield, create Bo, a legendary blue ox. Oh, this is the Paul Bunyan character. Create Bo, a legendary blue ox creature token with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Okay, so lands matter commander deck. Whenever you attack, draw a card, then you may put a land from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. So run all those fetch lands, you know, Evolving Wilds, Myriad Landscape, you know, Fabled Passage, anything that'll go get you lands, and then things that you can sacrifice lands to have an effect, and then you're just going to be getting those back. Fierce Retribution, white and 1 for an instant. Cleave, white and 5, you may cast this spell for its cleave cost if you do remove the words in square brackets. So you can destroy target attacking creature, and then if you cast it for its cleave cost, you can destroy target creature. So I think that was introduced in, what was that? In one of the last Zendikar sets that had the cleave cost. Decisive Denial, green and blue. Choose one. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control, or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. And then we've got a land. Neutralize the guards. Lazav, Familiar Stranger. A Rambling Possum. Rodeo Pyromancers. Sterling Hound. Bridled Bighorn. And Djinn of Fool's Fall. And that is our first pack, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so pretty good so far. We did manage to hit a couple of good rares. We've got a mythic. Still looking for that sword. Still looking for some Okos. Let's get into the second pack. But as we said, Coraline has blessed this stack right here, so that's going to be where all the good stuff is. Alright, so we've got a mercenary and a copy. Oh, and here is our World Waker Helm. Blue and 2. If you would create one or more artifact tokens, instead create those tokens plus an additional map token. Pay 1 in blue and tap it. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. And that is another mythic card. And that's a vault card. That's beautiful. Commandeer, you may exile 2 blue cards from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Gain control of target non-creature spell. You may choose new targets for it. That is rough, buddy. Orochi the Soul Reaver. Black and 5 or ninjutsu for black and 3. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and manifest the top card of that player's library. So you're going to be stealing cards from a opponent, and you get treasure off of it. Never a bad thing. Oh, and then here's one of the cards that I've been looking forward to seeing. The Gold Vein Hydra. Green and X. For Vigilance, Trample, Hasting Hydra. Gold Vein Hydra enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters. When it dies, create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to its power. This with like Nashnod's Altar or a Phyrexian Altar, Altar of Dementia, any sack outlet ready, really. You know, sack this at the end of an opponent's turn, get the tapped treasures. On your upkeep, they untap. Or even if you have like an unwinding clock or something that'll allow them to untap, that's it right there. Oh, and all the mythics in this pack. So that's our second mythic into our third. Assimilation Aegis. White, blue, and 1 for an equipment. Let's see if I can get this into focus. There we go, I think. When Assimilation Aegis enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature until Assimilation Aegis leaves the battlefield. When it becomes attached to a creature, for as long as Assimilation Aegis remains attached to it, that creature becomes a copy of a creature card exiled with Assimilation Aegis. So you cast it, exile something good, preferably something an opponent controls, and then attach it to something that you control, and then it becomes a copy of that the opponent had. That's I like that. That's really good. Start stealing all their stuff. Then we've got our Tornado. Destroy target creature with flying, or you can cycle it for 1 and a green. Fierce Retribution again. We've got our Forest. A Blood Hustler. Honest Rutstein. Return the Favor. Soured Springs. Sterling Supplier. Inventive Wingsmith, and Fake Your Own Death. Let me rearrange some of these cards since Coraline has decided to loaf a little differently. Alright. Because she did say that y'all were here to see her on camera, right? Right. All right. Going into pack number 3. Her and that tail, I swear. Okay, so we've got another mercenary with an ox. Endless Detour for Bant, green, white, and blue for an instant. The owner of target spell, non-land, permanent, or card in a graveyard puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Collective Defiance, 2 red and 1. You can escalate it for 1. Pay this cost for each mode chosen beyond the first. So there's 3 modes, so you can pay up to 3 additional mana, putting this at most to a 6 mana spell. Target player discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many cards. It deals 4 damage to target creature, and it deals 3 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Crackling Spellslinger. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn has Storm. This is another commander card from the Is It Spellslinger deck. So, you know, definitely going to be copying a lot of stuff. And then here is our first wanted poster for Breaches of the Blastmaster. Goblin Pirate, blue, red, and 1 for a legendary Goblin Pirate. When you cast your second spell each turn, you may sack an artifact. If you do, flip a coin. When you win the flip, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. When you lose the flip, Breaches the Blastmaster deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. So I'm not seeing a downside to the coin flip. You either copy the spell or you're dealing some damage to any target. So a planeswalker, a player, a creature. I'm not seeing a downside. What's the downside? Somebody tell me. I'm not seeing it. So I really like this. This is good. Magda the Horde Master, 1 and red. Whenever you commit a crime, create a tap treasure token. That's pretty good. This triggers once each turn. So whenever you target an opponent, anything they control and or cards in their graveyards is a crime. So I'm glad that they kind of have some clarification text on that. Sack 3 treasures, create a 4/4 red Scorpion Dragon creature token with flying and haste, activate as a sorcery. So sack 3 treasures, make a Scorpion Dragon, and it flies and has haste. Yeah, so Magda likes artifacts and likes dragons, so that makes sense that she would make some sort of dragony thing with treasures. So that could be pretty scary if you've got a lot of treasure recursion. So be on the lookout for that. And then we go into a Humiliate, white and black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card and put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control. I like the foiling on that. That looks really good. Into a Heartless Pillage. Target opponent discards 2 cards, and if you attack this turn, make a treasure. All right. And then there's a beautiful island. Into a Hellspur Brute. Unfortunate accident. A Intrepid Stablemaster. Skullduggery. Take up the shield. Throw from the saddle. And a Mirage Mesa, which is a desert. It comes in tapped. Choose a color, and it adds 1 of the chosen color. I like that. That's pretty good. Do some mana fixing with that. On to pack number 4. Are you comfortable, Coraline? Alright, and with this pack we are returning to the treasure token. And we are, and on the back is a clue. And we've got Laughing Jesper Flint. Creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries in addition to their other types. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. Until the end of turn, you may cast spells from among those cards, and mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So that, you're basically stealing your opponent's creatures. You can use mana of any color. So that's that could be kind of scary, depending on what sort of stuff you got. And into a Fractured Identity, another mythic. 3 white and blue. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. Very nice. They can't have it, but I get it, and they get it, and you get it. Dune Chanter, green and 2. Reach. Lands you control and lands you own that aren't on the battlefield are deserts in addition to their other types. Lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and then you can tap it to mill 2 cards and gain 1 life for each land card milled this way. So this looks like it goes in the Lands Matter commander deck. I think it's the green, red, white one that makes a plant cactus. So that's kind of interesting. Caustic Bronco. Whenever it attacks, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's mana value if Caustic Bronco isn't saddled. Otherwise, each opponent loses that much life. So saddle 3, so I think you have to swing with, I think it's kind of like crewing a vehicle. So you have to use a creature with at least that power, or you add up to the power. I will have to look up to see how the saddling works. Then we have a Claim Jumper Mercenary, Rabbit Mercenary. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a Plains card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, so mono white ramp. Then if an opponent controls more lands than you, repeat this process once. If you search your library this way, shuffle. Okay, so go get a Plains if they control more lands than you, and if they still control more lands, you get an additional land. So a possibility of getting 2 lands off the Claim Jumper. That's pretty good. I like Hindering Light, white and blue, counter target spell that targets you or a permanent you control to draw a card. I like the foiling on that. Buried in the Garden, enchantment, white, green, and 2. Enchant land, enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent you don't control until it leaves the battlefield. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. Okay, so I mean that's just kind of a standard enchant land effect, but you get that extra exile effect off of it. Beautiful Western Mountain. Then into a Make Your Own Luck, Lava Spur Boots, Visage Bandit, Festering Gulch, Drover Grizzly, and Mourner's Surprise into a Spring Slasher. Alright. 2 more packs to go out of this first stack of 6. And again, Coraline blessed this stack, so that's where all the good stuff is going to be. And that will be opened after this stack. Alright, so into the Mercenary with a food. Alright, we've got a Void Slime, which we've seen. Into a Primal Command, 2 green and 3, choose 2, target player gains 7 life. Put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library, and search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. Forger's Foundry, blue and 2. Tap it to add a blue. Whenever you spend this mana to cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 3 or less, you may exile that spell instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard as it resolves. 3 and 2 blue, tap it. You may cast any number of spells from among cards exiled with Forger's Foundry without paying their mana cost. Activate only as a sorcery. That's kind of disgusting. So you can just keep recasting them, if I'm reading that correctly. So you get to cast them over and over again. That can be stupid and abused. I'm here for it. And that's also from the from one of the commander decks. Here's a extended art Magda the Horde Master, and a reprint with the Thunder Junction art of the Grand Abolisher. This is a vault card. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments for 2 white mana. We also have a reprint of Fling, which is really cool. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack a creature. Fling deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. And then it's got some really cool art and the foiling on it as well. And then Skewer the Critics, red and 2. Spectacle for 1 red if an opponent lost life this turn. Deals 3 damage to any target. And then we have the Western Plains. Into Ruthless Lawbringer, Sandstorm Verge, Gila Courser, Tumbleweed Rising, Thunder Salvo, Quilled Charger, and a Mystical Tether. Alright, and the last pack from this set, or this stack of 9. Not 9, this stack of 6. We still have 6 to go after this. Alright, and we got our treasure and a human rogue this time. into a Dust Animus, white and 1. Flying, if you control 5 or more untapped lands, it enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters and a lifelink counter on it. And you can plot for white and 1. And I'm not read up on what plot does, so I'll have to check that out. I think you can cast it for its plot cost and recast it later. Something about that. I'm not 100% sure yet. Primal Might, green and X. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Pyretic Charge, red and 4. Discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. For each card discarded this way, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn, and then you can plot it for 4 mana. Kumbal, the Profiteering Mare, black, white, and 1 for a legendary human advisor. Whenever 1 or more tokens enters the battlefield under your opponent's control, for each of them create a tapped token that's a copy of it. This ability triggers only once each turn. Whenever 1 or more tokens enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. That's interesting. So it gives you a way to kind of bolster your army off of, or, you know, get some treasures. That could be fun. Okay, and then here's our first fancy land. Concealed Courtyard, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. Okay. Hypothesizal. Blue, red, and 3. Draw 2, then discard a non-land card. When you do, it deals 4 damage to target creature. Tyrant Scorn, blue-black, for an instant. Choose 1, destroy target creature's mana value 3 or less. Return target creature to its owner's hand. And then we have our first swamp. Into a Nimble Brigand, a Fleeting Reflection, Gold Rush, a Jagged Barrens, Consuming Ashes, and a Dance of the Tumbleweed, followed by Highway Robbery. And that is it. That is the first 6 of this collector booster box. Not really seeing, I mean, we've seen some good stuff so far, but not really seeing some of the cards that we're looking for quite yet. So hopefully, since Coraline did bless this stack right here, that's going to be where it's at. So we appreciate you hanging out with us so far, myself and Coraline the Planeskitty. So as a thank you, here are, there we go, 2. Well, if I have them right side up, here are a couple of arena codes for you, just as a way for us to say thank you. And when we return from the break, we will be opening these final 6 packs from this collector booster box of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Stay tuned and we will see you in a moment. And we are back. This is Seth, your Mild Mannered Mage, here with the Planeskitty Coraline, and we are opening more collector booster packs from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Now, earlier when we were busting this box open, Coraline has rubbed some of her kitty magic on these 6 packs here, and she said these are the ones. So we have saved these packs for last, and hopefully we will be getting all the goodness out of these 6 packs. So we are going to open those right now and see what sort of goodness we get out of them. And here we go. into our treasure token with a construct on the back. And right off the bat, we've got a full art Inspiring Vantage. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. So that's very nice. And then here is another mythic card. All right, so we're hitting some good stuff. Force of Vigor. 2 green and 2. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Dead Before Sunrise. Green and 3. Until the end of turn, outlaw creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain tap. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature, and this is another commander deck card. Pillage the Bog, black and green. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is twice the number of lands you control. Put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and you can plot it for black, green, and 1. So that's a good way to kind of filter through your library and find a particular card, hopefully, or find an answer. Here we've got the return of Laughing Jasper Flint. I think he could be a fun commander card. Ride Down. Red and white, destroy target blocking creature. Creatures that were blocked by that creature this combat gain trample until end of turn. Into a Tornado. There's a Plains. Into Lassoed by Law, Brimstone Roundup, Stubborn Burrow Fiend, Free Strider Commando, Abraded Bluffs, Sterling Keykeeper, and an Ankle Biter. Grr. All right, into pack number 2 of this stack of 6. Now remember, Coraline, you promised me that there was some good stuff in here. We have seen a good mythic. Alright, into another treasure with a varmint. Siphon Insights, black and blue. Look at the top 2 cards of target opponent's library. Exile 1 of them face down and put the other on the bottom of that library. You may play the exiled card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. And it does have the flashback for black, blue, and 1. Unlicensed Hearse. So this is a vehicle. Star for 2 mana. Exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard for tapping it. And then Unlicensed Hearse power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards that are exiled with it. Right. Dream Thief's Bandana. 2 mana. This is another commander deck card. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, look at the top card of their library, then exile it face down. For as long as it remains exiled, you may play it, and the mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell with an equipped 1. So that's pretty good. I kind of like that. Annie Joins Up. Red, green, white, and 1. Enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. If a triggered ability of a legendary creature you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So that's kind of like a little Panharmonicon for legendary creatures. So that could get kind of bad. Gotta keep an eye on that one. Sandstorm Salvager. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. Pay 2 to tap it. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature token you control. They gain trample. Ooh. That's pretty good. I kind of like that. Make some tokens, flicker it, make a bunch of golems, buff them up with their ability, and give them trample. Yeah, that's really good. Savage Smash. Gruel in 1. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights target creature you don't control. And then here's another fling minus the foiling effect into another mountain. And then map the frontier. Emerged Haunting. Ferocification. Eret's Lullaby. Trick Shot. Vengeful Townfolk. And Black Snag Buzzard. Alright, pack number 3. And we've got our mercenary and a sheep. Meh. We've got another claim jumper and an abrupt decay. I do like an abrupt decay. Black and green. Cannot be countered. Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less. Smirking Spelljacker. Blue and 4. Flash flying. When it enters battlefield, exile target spell an opponent controls. Okay, so good in response creature. When it attacks, if a card is exiled with it, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. Okay, so we're going to exile something good and cast it when it attacks. I like that. Fomori Vault. Tap it for a colorless. Pay 3, discard a card. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library. That's pretty good. I'd take that. Calamity, Galloping Inferno. 2 red and 4 for Hasting Horsemount. When it attacks while saddled, choose a non-legendary creature that saddled it this turn and create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Repeat this process once. Okay. So if it's... So whenever a Calamity, when it attacks while saddled, choose a non-legendary creature that saddled it. Create a tapped and attacking token. And then repeat it. So I think you get 2 tokens off of this. I'll have to ask a friend of mine that's kind of that knows a lot more about Magic than I do, but I think you get 2 tokens off of this. Then we got another Skewer the Critics and a Clear Shot. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. And then there's our Western Forest into a Hollow Marauder, Nurturing Pixie at knife point. Conduit Pylons, Catacturla, a Wolverine, and a Take the Fall. Okay, and we are halfway through this final stack. Got 3 packs left, so let's see what other goodies we got in here. There's that Golem. Hell to Pay. X in red. Deals damage to target. It deals X damage to target creature. Create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage. So you want to deal damage over what you need to kill it so that you can get the treasure tokens. Archmage's Charm, 3 blue. Choose one counter target spell. Target player draws 2. Gain control of target non-land permanent with mana value 1 or less. The Rumbleweed. 10 and green. Wow. Okay. Spell costs 1 less to cast for each land in your graveyard. This is also from that Lands Matter Commander deck. Vigilance, Trample, Reach. Enters the battlefield. Other creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Alright. So this is going to be like your haste bacon, or kind of like your kind of trying to aim this as kind of a finisher, where you can buff up your creatures and give them trample and possibly take somebody out. I could see that. Free Strider Lookout. Excuse me. Green into Reach. When you commit a crime, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. It triggers once each turn. Into another Cabal. Into another Buried in the Garden. Essence Capture. Counter target creature spell. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. There's the plains. Into a Full Steam Ahead. Caught in the Crossfire. Shifting Grift. Seize the Secrets. Forlorn Flats. Explosive Derailment. And the old Razzle Dazzler. Alright, and we've got 2 packs remaining. And let's get into pack number 5. Alright, so here is our Treasure and Human Rogue. And we are jumping right into a Mythic Leyline Binding. Is that right? Mythic? That is a Mythic card. And it is got the foiling on it. Very nice foiling. White and 5 for a Flash Enchantment. Costs 1 less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Leyline Binding leaves the battlefield. Vanishing Verse, white and black. Exile target monocolored permanent. Cataclysmic Prospecting. Deals X damage to each creature. For each mana from a desert spent to cast this spell, create a tapped treasure token. Akul the Unrepented. 2 black, 2 red. For a Scorpion Dragon Rogue. That just sounds cool as hell. Flying Trample 5/5. Sack 3 other creatures. You may put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery and once per turn. That is kind of cool. I kind of like it. And I think I want to build that. Akul the Unrepentant. And here we have Tarnation Vista. Enters the battlefield. Tap, choose a color. Tap it to add 1. Pay 1. Tap it. For each color among monocolor permanents you control, add 1 mana of that color. Back for more. Black, green, and 4. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. When you do, it fights to 1 creature you don't control. And that's another one. So back for more was back for more. And then there's the Swamp. And then Rise of the Varmints, Scalestorm Summoner, Slick Sequence, Reckless Lackey, Spinewood Paladin, Stop Cold, and Stagecoach Security. Alright, and here we are. We are at the last pack of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Collector Booster Box. Let's go. Let's see what we got. And we've got our Mercenary, and this time an Angel. Into a Harvester of Misery. This is a vault card, and it is mythic. Enters the battlefield. Other creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Pay black and 1, discard it. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Into another mythic, Overwhelming Forces, 2 black and 6. Destroy all creatures target opponent controls. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way. That's pretty cool. I like that. Arcane Heist from a commander deck. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard without paying its mana cost for 2 blue and 2. If that spell would be put into their graveyard, exile it instead. Cipher, so you cipher it onto a creature, and I think if the creature deals combat damage, you get to cast it for free. Into another wanted poster, Geralf the Fleshwright. Let's see, Human Warlock. When you cast a spell during your turn other than your first spell that turn, create a 2/2 blue and black zombie road creature token. Whenever a Zombo enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it for each other zombie that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So you cast your first, and each other spell after that, you make a blue and black zombie. And then they get bigger for every other zombie that entered the battlefield under your control. That's really good. That makes me want to build a zombie deck. That's not, the Wilhelt. Ornery Tumblewag. Brushwag Mount. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. When Ornery Tumblewag attacks while saddled, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature. And it has saddle too. Okay, here we go. Saddle. Tap any number of other creatures you control with total power 2 or more. This mount becomes saddled until end of turn. Saddle only as a sorcery. But you apparently don't have to saddle to attack. Alright, into a Decisive Denial. Choose one. Target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3. And then another Hypothesizzle. And then there's our Island. Into a Metamorphic Blast. Magebane Lizard. Tomb Trawler. Holy cow! Voracious Varmint. A Lone Shark. And a Quick Draw. Alright, and Coraline has abandoned me. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is all the cards from this box, this collector booster box of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Now, one thing that I saw that I thought was really interesting that I just want to point out really quickly. Let me go find them really quickly. I really like how this kind of reminds me of the Theros lands, how each of the full art lands incorporates the symbol. So there's the mountain symbol in the mountain, the forest symbol in the forest, the plains symbol in the plains, the swamp symbol in the swamp, and then the island symbol in the island. So I thought that was really neat how they did that for these full art lands. So that was pretty cool. Nice. All right, so that is everything that we got. Lots of good, some fairly good mythics here, and then all of our rare cards here. All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you hanging out with me and the Planeswalker Coraline, or Planeskitty Coraline. As a thank you for hanging out. Again, we like to do this when we can. Here are 2 more arena codes just for hanging out with me and the Planeskitty as we bust open this collector booster box of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Don't forget to go support your favorite local game store this weekend for pre-release, and I wish everybody some happy magicking this weekend. Y'all have a great one, and we'll see ya next time.